Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I'm joined by my dear friend Kevin Gamble. He's feeling a little under the weather, but he was kind enough to join us today, and we're just going to be talking a little bit about the current status of the channel and just do a little housekeeping. We've gone past our year anniversary of doing these conversations. We appreciate everybody who's liked and shared and subscribed from these videos. We really appreciate it. And I think that Kevin will lead us off with just a couple of questions or comments about some of the most recent content, and then I'll take over and just talk about kind of where we're headed and some of the challenges the channel is facing right now. All right, Kev, take it away.
Well, thanks, Tris. And I wanted to highlight two of the recent videos that have been on the channel. I think they're of interest for different reasons. One, I think a good conversation to join in is your most recent video about, well, I'll generously call it the pros and cons of Dreadnought acoustics.
Yeah.
and maybe more of the cons, but some good opinions in there. So encourage everyone to go check it out and throw in your opinion about what you love or don't love about Dreadnoughts. And I thought it was an interesting thing to reflect on. It when I first got, my acoustic guitar many years ago, my first acoustic, it just seemed like, an automatic thing, the normal thing that everyone would do. And a lot of its context was playing acoustically in a physical space around other people, where that sort of full range sound just seemed to be the appropriate thing to do. But I think with time and focus on recording and home recording especially, the downsides of it, both from a playability standpoint and a sonic standpoint, become evident. And I know on my most recent recording project, I ended up just scooping off huge parts of the sound EQ wise that were of no use in a busy crowded recording. So when I listen to people like Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, who's played a parlor style guitar for decades, it's like that really gets the essential musical information through, especially in a busy arrangement. So great video, some active conversation there, so go check that out. Also, one that might have gotten a little overlooked is you did a video on a pedal build, reverse order pedal, which I think is a fantastic idea. It's not something that I normally see or hear about, but being able to swap the order of pedals, or potentially even groups of pedals on the fly, is a fantastic and very achievable project, as you outlined in that video. So encourage anyone looking to apply some more creativity with their pedals to check that out and give it a shot.
Yeah, well, thanks for highlighting those two things. I'll just start by doing just the Dreadnought video. I thought it was a throwaway video because I was just like, I always get frustrated with Dreadnoughts, and I just had been thinking about it, and I've mentioned it so many times on the channel, especially when I was recording last fall, and just going, I always just I hardly have any Dreadnoughts anymore. I just have that Yamaha I showed, and then my 12-string, which is a character instrument, as I said in the video. But my primary guitars are all smaller body guitars, single aught or double aught or parlor, and I think that there's just this misconception, and the reason why I made the video is just to kind of like encourage people who are either buying or who are discouraged with their current acoustic guitar, which is more than likely just by sheer statistics a Dreadnought, get past the idea that that is just what an acoustic guitar is. I think a lot of people in their imagination just see that body size and they go, that is what an acoustic guitar is, and it's not. I mean, the instrument really, the genesis of the instrument and the purity of it, I think, exists more in those smaller sizes. And the Dreadnought, like I said in the video, was designed to just be a giant speaker, and that does it a disservice in anything beyond, like I said, that just in the room sound, in my opinion, or like the campfire scenario or whatever. So I just wanted to kind of break that stereotype a little bit. And then with the reverse order pedal, yeah, I mean, it's an easy build. It's just wires, switches, and jacks. I mean, you don't have a circuit board involved. It's a very, especially if you're building your first pedal, it's just such a useful tool to have. I think that the best example I showed in that video was when the phaser was in front of the dirt box and then behind the dirt box, and you really get that character. I thought the delay came through pretty well as well, because it does change the character of the repeats and actually kind of chops them off if you put that delay before the distortion. And most of the time when people demonstrate something that's reversing order, it's just like a clean boost into a distortion and then the distortion into the clean boost. And I think the utility of having a pedal where you can put any of your existing pedals through it to achieve the same thing is pretty spectacular. And I see it as a good entry point DIY project. So thanks for bringing those things up. And now I'm just going to jump into, I kind of wanted to just do an episode about housekeeping, what's happening around the channel. Our subscriber count has been steady as she goes and going up in the right direction. We're about ready to hit 900, which means that 1,000 is right around the corner. And then we kind of like unlock some of the more, robust features that we can do on YouTube. In the future, I plan on, Kevin and I doing some of these as live streams where people can come and join, and we can, maybe in a comment section, I can do a short and then we pick a topic and then we could all talk about it. Things like that are the things I see for the future of the channel. Right now, I've been doing a lot of projects that, and a lot of videos about things that are, low cost. And that's going to be kind of my direction for a couple reasons. One, I think that money's going to be tighter and tighter when it comes to gear. I know that in selling things right now, I'm having difficulty moving anything. And these are things that normally would just sell like that. And that is how this channel is funded. There's no sponsored content here. We are not monetized at the moment. Once we hit 1,000 and we have our watch hours together, there will be, some advertising at either the beginning or the end of the videos. I'm not going to put anything in the middle of the videos ever, because I think that's disruptive. And that is under the control of a YouTube creator. A content creator can pick and choose where things are. So as a non-sponsored and currently non-monetized channel, I have to come up with the cash, and I'm not taking that cash out of my household. So I move gear usually to fund projects or fund things that I want to get and show on the channel. Right now, I'm just going to be doing a lot of, these kind of like the TV yellow guitar, that was, 10 hours of sanding and, using very, low cost products to come up with a fantastic result. I'm really happy with the way that guitar turned out. There's going to be more of those kind of things coming ahead. Some of you may have seen the short where I'm talking about, I'm going to do these little music theory, videos that are like, 10 minutes long. No paywall, and you actually get all the information rather than going, oh, well, I kind of got an idea of what's going on here, but now I have to like buy your course, and I think that kind of stuff is kind of disingenuous, and there's enough information out there that if people just put it together in a succinct and understandable way, it could be presented to you guys for free. So that's just always been the ethos of kind of like what we're trying to do here is do it yourself and do it for low cost. Back to those monetary challenges. So since gear's not moving, I am taking in I'm actually going to do some lutherie work for pay, which I normally don't do anymore. But I've got a couple jobs coming up through some friends, and that'll be cool, and we'll get some new stuff rolling. I have some things in the mail that are going to be fun, but due to tariffs and economic duress on the behalf of the companies that I'm trying to work with, those things have been delayed. So just bear with me. I'm coming up with stuff, and I'm going to continue to release 2 videos a week for the foreseeable future, for the next however long, and keep growing the channel. So I just kind of wanted to cover some of those things. There are challenges right now, and I think that I noticed something very telling in the guitar space recently, and I'd love to hear what your perspective is on this, Kevin. Phil McKnight, he's always getting new product. It's always, he's got the latest thing, or, some cool budget thing, or some really high-end thing, or some innovative thing. I saw one of his most recent videos was on a PVT60. So he went and got a pawn shop guitar and did a deep dive on it. And if that doesn't tell you where things might be headed for a lot of content creators who are dependent upon companies giving them stuff to promote and to promote new things, if Phil McKnight's out there doing a old PV video like I did earlier this year. I did it because I own a PV Tracer and it's one of my main guitars, and I own a PV Bandit, and those are just like go-to pieces of gear for me, and I just like to turn people on to great American-made low-cost stuff. But Phil McKnight shouldn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's really interesting to see him doing that, and I was kind of like, so where's the boutique stuff? Where are these companies that you're working with trying to help them, navigate this mess, And instead, he went out and bought, like, for $200 this like little PV and was going through that. And I thought that was really fascinating, because that's kind of like my wheelhouse, but he's huge. I mean, like, he's one of the biggest YouTubers out there in the guitar space. So I think that we're going to see a lot more some people heading the direction that we're already in, but we're we've been here, we're doing it, and we're going to keep doing a lot of DIY stuff and low cost stuff that is good quality. So Kevin, what do you think about that? About Phil McKnight breaking down like an old PV? I mean, I was just blown. I was just kind of like, what? It really caught me off guard. So.
Yeah, that could speak to a lot of things about the current guitar market. And I think part of it is even, to what extent there are still, boutique makers and big mainstream makers and so forth. It seems to be a little bit of kind of going around in circles, maybe, with designs and concepts and so forth. And it's like trying to build how much can you refine a Strat or a Les Paul, or how many variations can you put on this little option on it or something like that. It seems like different ideas are not really kind of coming to the forefront these days. And whereas you can go back to an 80s guitar and pick it up and it's like, oh, nobody's doing this right now. This is great. I like this. This is really fun. And another thing I wanted to kind of tag on to that is a lot of what you said about cost and the realities of the moment in terms of people's budgets is true. But, I think a part of the ethos of this channel and what you've shown in these videos isn't just about saving money, isn't just about being frugal, but is actually doing something that ultimately is just as fun and satisfying as buying something new, because when you take ownership of that process and the ability to change and improve what you've got, you end up with something that you couldn't get any other way. You couldn't go pick something off of a wall because you took the time to kind of work on it yourself and modify it and make it exactly what you think. I think if an average guitar player went into your studio there or the garage studio and picked the guitars off the walls, they would be like, this is the best guitar store I've ever been in. This is how I've always wanted a guitar store to be, where you can pick any guitar off the wall and it plays like butter. It plays perfectly. It's fun to play. It makes playing fun, and each one has a distinct character, and that is within people's ability to create.
Absolutely, yeah.
With the instruments they already have. And so I think there's definitely a cost-saving element, but once people actually start trying to make the most of what they've got, they'll see that it can actually be fun and satisfying, and without a lot of the sort of overhead of, oh, I put a lot of money into this guitar, it's got to be perfect. That the rat race of trying to buy something new can supply. So there are many upsides to going through this process, and I think what you saw in that video is that other people are starting to realize, to some extent, the dead-endedness of the current upscale guitar market.
I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think that you can only push, most of these designs are time worn and very, very well established. And thank you for the huge compliment that you gave me there. And I try to make every instrument, my goal over the past, 5 or 6 years has been to walk up to everything on the wall, pick it up, have it play perfectly. I like my action really low. I want no buzzing and I want no rattling. I want my fretwork to be perfect. And so and part of what's been happening, like with that Les Paul, and then like doing the 12 string earlier this year, I'm going through on my third roundabout to just finalize a lot of instruments, and we're going to be going through that process very soon with another guitar that's notably absent from the wall behind me, that's currently under the knife and turning out really well so far. It's going to be a two-parter. The first part will be out soon, and what I want, because I sit and imagine, it's like, boy, I really want to buy. I always want to buy another guitar, but now what I'm doing is I'm going through my collection and I'm going, what don't I like about this guitar, and what can I do to it to achieve, to fulfill a need that I think I need from another instrument. So I've really been spending a lot of time doing that, and I think that people who have any, a collection of any sort, if you have 3 or 4 guitars, you can always have one that you're working on and have the others to play, and then go through them and make them all exactly what you want. And that's kind of the process I'm in, because I really honestly never need to buy another instrument. So right now, and I'm focusing on just making them all exactly what I want. So thank you so much for that. And let me look at my notes here real quick. I talked about the status of the channel. I mean, we're within striking distance of a lot of cool milestones. Like I said, 900 is going to be a big one. I'm going to do a short and probably a post, celebrating that, hopefully by the end of this coming week. And then, Kevin and I have been at this collectively for over a year. The channel's been around for a year and a half at this point, a little over a year and a half, which is not that long for how far we have come with zero startup. It's not like I started with a giant fan base that I dragged over to the channel and suddenly had 500 subscribers the first week. That did not happen. The channel has built slowly and gained steam ever since. And I appreciate everybody who's liked, shared, subscribed, and commented especially. I love everybody in the comments sections, be it positive, negative, snarky, effusive. I don't care. Just having that interaction is fun. I don't take offense. So if you want to say something stupid, you can. Just don't pick on anybody else in the comments is all I ever ask. Okay, so I talked kind of about the economic challenges. Everybody's facing them right now. I mean, we don't need to beat that dead horse. One thing I am nervous about, though, going forward, is supply chain issues. I have some things that I need to order, and I want to order them soon, and that's one reason why I'm taking on some outside work in the shop to actually work on other people's instruments and get paid for it, is to I need to stock up on things like pots and capacitors and resistors. If I wanted to build a pedal right now, I don't have the stuff in stock in my shop, and I'm a little nervous about, like, if I do another on-camera pedal build or come up with a cool idea I want to demo for everybody, I got to get those parts, because I can see it happening. I check every week through one of my distributors who I get all my electronic components through. The prices are not only creeping, but the out of stock is just like the little out of stock indicators on all these little bits and pieces. I'm talking like transistors. I'm talking about the stuff that's like, 5 cents or used to be 5 cents, and there'd be tens of thousands of them. Well, there's a lot of pedal builders in America, and there's a lot of pedal builders who are small companies with 1 to 2 to 3 employees. They are siphoning everything up at the moment, and it's going to become much more difficult for me to feel good about maybe doing some of these demo things and building some of these things in real time, or showing you just a schematic and how to do it, because you may not be able to get the parts. So bear with me, and I want to, I'm going to try to steer everything that I'm doing into things that are available and relatively affordable and attainable, because the supply chain issues are real. And I'm tiny compared to these companies that need to get all these parts. So I am not complaining about that one bit, but it's just a reality that we're facing. So anyway, I just wanted to thank everybody who's ever watched a video, thank everybody who is subscribed, thank everybody who has shared. The comment section, there's a lot of regulars there. We love you guys and girls, and would love to see everybody, come together in some live streams. Hopefully by the end of the year, maybe we'll celebrate, the 2-year anniversary of the channel with a live stream of some sort. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. Kevin, do you want to say anything on our way out here?
No, just want to echo what you said, Tris. It's been every bit of interaction and sharing of information and perspectives has helped this channel get to where it is, and just made the environment that much more interesting. And it's great to see so many people over the course of the last year taking such an active interest, whether it's musical artists, whether it's their music themselves that they make and how they make it, or the technology they're using to make it. There are so many ways to connect to this topic and so many things to be enthusiastic about, and I'm just glad that this ongoing work has provided another place for people to tap into that, because that's really what it's all about at the end of the day. There's so much, even with all the challenges and the state of the world with music today and so forth, there's still so much to be an enthusiast about, and really glad for all the people who've brought that energy here. So keep doing it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Kevin. All right, if you made it this far into the video, you're probably already subscribed. But if you're not, subscribe, please. We don't charge for anything here. All we ask for are the likes and the shares and the comments and the subscriptions. Just interact and look forward to more content with us. All right, you take care, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.